You know, when we think of the Taj Mahal, we see this perfect, gleaming symbol of love. But what if I told you that behind all that marble and those famous minarets, there's the story of a real person, a truly remarkable woman whose life and death inspired one of the greatest wonders of the world? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and find the empress behind the icon. So, how are we going to do that? Well, our guide for the story is pretty unique. We're actually looking at her life through a lens from the past, a historical account written more than 100 years ago. So this isn't some modern take. Think of it like a window, a direct look into how her story was told back then. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We all know that silhouette. You could sketch it from memory. But do we really know the woman who inspired it all? The one whose memory is literally set in stone? Well, let's find out. All right, so let's start at the very beginning. Our story doesn't begin with an empress, but with a young noblewoman. Her name was Arjamand Banu Begum. This was her birth name, long before she became the legend we know today. And when we say she was of high birth, we mean really high birth. Arjamand wasn't just some courtier, she was born into the absolute highest level of Mughal society. Her grandfather was the prime minister to the emperor himself. So from day one, she was in the inner circle of power. Then, in 1612, her whole life changed. At just 19 years old, she was married to Prince Shah Jahan. He was the heir to the entire empire, and their marriage really kicked off a partnership that would, well, go on to shape history. Now, here's a detail you might not know. Her famous name, Mumtaz Mahal, wasn't actually a gift from her husband. It was the reigning emperor Shah Jahan's father who gave her that title. It means the chosen one of the palace. I mean, what a sign of incredible respect and favor, right from the very beginning of her life at court. But here's the thing, Mumtaz Mahal was so much more than just a royal wife. She very quickly became one of the emperor's most trusted advisors, a real political force in the empire. Her influence was just immense. I mean, she wasn't just sitting back in the palace. She traveled with Shah Jahan on his military campaigns like a true partner in his rule. He talked to her about everything, all the big political and state decisions. He even trusted her with the royal seal, which was a huge symbol of authority. You just didn't see that kind of public political power for a woman back then. But on top of all that, she was famous for her compassion, especially for widows and orphans. You know, the depth of their bond is just so perfectly captured in our old text. It says she remained with him like his shadow. It gives you this image of her being inseparable, always there, a constant presence in his life, both as a ruler and as a man. But this incredible life, this powerful partnership, well, it was destined to be cut tragically short. Their inseparable bond was about to face the ultimate test. 14. Just let that number sink in for a second. In an age where childbirth was incredibly dangerous and many children didn't survive, Mumtaz Mahal gave birth 14 times during her marriage to Shah Jahan. And tragically, it was during the birth of her 14th child that her life came to an end. It was 1630. She was with Shah Jahan on a military campaign in a place called Burhanpur, far from the capital city, and she died. She was only 39 years old. The grief was just immediate and overwhelming. Our source even recorded this really poignant poem from the court that just captures that feeling of a life being suddenly gone. It says, "What is life? A bubble floating, till it bursts and ends the dream." So this is the turning point, right? How does an emperor's intense personal tragedy transform into one of the most famous buildings on Earth? Well, it all starts with a period of just unbelievable grief. The emperor's grief was all-consuming. For weeks, he just shut himself away in total seclusion. Our source says that his hair, which was just starting to get gray, turned completely silver gray. And for 2 full years, 2 years, he banned all parties, all amusement, all festivities from the court. This wasn't just a brief mourning period. It was a deep sorrow that the whole empire felt. There's another poem in the text that gives you this really intimate look at his pain. It explains that his hair didn't turn white because he was getting older or from some sudden shock. No, it was from a deep, cankerous grief that had taken root in his heart. And this is where all that grief found its ultimate expression. Because you see, Shah Jahan had made a promise to Mumtaz Mahal as she was dying, and he kept it. He took all of his sorrow, all of his love, and poured it into creating a tomb that would be, as our source calls it, the crown of architecture.
a building as unforgettable as the woman it was built for.
So I want to leave you with this thought. The Taj Mahal isn't just some beautiful building. It's a monument to a queen, a partner, a brilliant advisor, and a mother. So the next time you see a picture of it, ask yourself, does knowing the story of the woman inside change how you see the wonder on the outside?